Thank you. Goodness, I like to meet that woman. They had my picture up there earlier, and I didn't have gray hair. That was before I ran for spiritual leader. How y'all doing tonight? Are you loving this place? Me too. Me too. Although I have not gambled yet. Has anybody here gambled? Anybody been? Yeah. You know, I just want to remind you that tithing is a spiritual practice. Before I start, the other thing I want to do is when I got to Atlanta, switching planes to come here last night, there were about, I don't know, 20 or 25 Science of Mind people in the terminal and on the plane. I never felt so safe in all my life. I knew for sure that plane was not going to go down and that we would arrive early, which we did. Anyway, good to be here. It's good to be here with my family. Thank you so much for showing up. You know, you are so important and you are so valued in this organization. And I can't say enough about how much I appreciate and love each and every one of you. Ernest Holmes reminds us the connection we long for is not somewhere else. It's already present within us. Spirit is not distant. It is not reserved for the worthy. It is not granted by institutions. Spirit is the living intelligence moving through every human life. It is the one life expressing as many lives, each unique, each necessary, each sacred. This is the foundation of our teaching, and it is the heart of who we are as Centers for Spiritual Living. Beloved community, what I want to speak to you about today is people. About what it means to be human in this moment of history. We are living in a time when many of us feel pulled in countless directions. The news cycle, especially in the United States, is relentless. The language of fear is loud, and what is happening in the world can sometimes feel overwhelming. And yet, what happens in the United States does not stay within its borders. It ripples outward. It echoes across the globe because the human spirit everywhere yearns for the same things: justice and dignity, belonging, and a deeper connection to life. These are spiritual longings. These, far more than policies or power struggles, are what truly shape the soul of the world. I believe we are in the midst of a spiritual reckoning, moments where the sacredness of life confronts the reality of injustice. We are called to ask, what does it mean to respect every life, to protect the vulnerable? These questions do not belong to one person, one organization, one nation alone. They resonate with people around the world who face their own struggles with state violence and discrimination and injustice. Beloveds, this is yet another movement, the movement of truth. I invite you to ask yourself, do your elected officials serve the sacred dignity of every person, or does it protect privilege at the expense of human flourishing? At its heart, spirituality is about connection. connection to something larger than ourselves, connection to one another, and connection to meaning and purpose. Most people, even those who do not identify with any particular religion, describe spirituality this way: a sense of belonging to something greater, a longing for purpose, an experience of inner peace, and an openness to others. This kind of spirituality reaches beyond agreement on theology or belief. It lives in the quiet compassion between strangers, in the courage to stand for justice even when it's uncomfortable, and in the longing of every child to be seen, valued, and loved for who they are. And yet today, we are witnessing division and fear moving from the margins to the center. They are not just present, they are governing. People are being excluded. Stories are being erased. Lived experiences are being denied. Entire communities are being told implicitly and explicitly that their histories are inconvenient. Their identities are controversial, and their lives are negotiable. And the question before every spiritual community is, what do we do with that? This I see as a spiritual crisis, because when we diminish one another's humanity, we diminish our own. Consider the idea that we are not victims of the world we see, but of the way we see the world. What we choose to see and what we choose not to see matters. Across states and institutions, struggles over what is remembered and what is forgotten are cutting deep into the soul of this nation. When celebrations of Black history are pushed to the margins, when women's contributions are minimized or erased, and when LGBTQ plus lives are treated as something to be hidden rather than honored, it is more than cultural politics and policies. It is a spiritual wound. To erase these stories is to deny entire facets of humanity's lived experience. Why? Because these are stories of courage, resilience, creativity, and liberation. They are stories that reveal the invincible human spirit. When we fail to honor them, we narrow not only our history, but the possibilities for compassion and justice in the future. The moment matters. This moment matters deeply to Centers for Spiritual Living, because our communities exist to affirm the inherent worth of every person. Our global vision is clear and unapologetic, a world that works for everyone, not for some, not for the few, not only for those who are comfortable or familiar, a world that works for everyone. And our mission flows directly from that vision: to empower humanity to express its divine nature through the teachings and practices of science of mind. Empower humanity, express divine nature, humanity in its fullness, not in fragments. Divine nature in every life, not just those deemed acceptable by culture or policy. Centers for Spiritual Living offers the world a vision of every individual as an expression of the one life, a vision in which every story matters and every voice belongs. And that vision persists even when policies, whether through education, funding, public language, or institutional pressure, seek to restrict those stories. But even so, our centers are feeling the impact directly. Some communities experience pressure to remain silent rather than speak truth. Some leaders face fear of backlash for using inclusive language. Some communities lose members who no longer feel safe or seen. And some are facing the question if spiritual spaces are still allowed to be fully human. This is about integrity, my friends. Centers for Spiritual Living is here to model consciousness. When society narrows compassion, we widen it. When culture forgets, we remember. When fear contracts, we expand. And this is spiritually embodied. This is principle made visible through practice. Let us all understand that what happens in this country sends a signal far beyond its borders. The soul of the United States, its willingness to face its own humanity matters to the world. Other nations watch, other communities listen, other hearts feel the resonance. When the United States honors diversity, the world breathes easier. When the U.S. denies dignity, the world tightens with fear. And when science of mind teaches that consciousness is creative, that thought is a force, and that collective belief shapes our collective experience, a similar ripple of influence is let loose in our world. Holmes said, thought is a force, and consciousness determines experience. What we hold in consciousness here echoes outward everywhere. What happens with Centers for Spiritual Living also sends a signal. Imagine what is already true in rooms like this one in CSL communities across the globe. Someone in a CSL community this week heard, perhaps for the first time, that their life is sacred because Spirit knows no exceptions. Well, that moment already happened somewhere and is now woven into the fabric of what is. And consciousness moves, it ripples. The person who heard that truth carried it home into a conversation, into a relationship, into the way they looked at a stranger on the street. Holmes was right. Thought is a force, and we are its stewards. This is what Centers for Spiritual Living offers the world right now, a practice for living life more fully, a place where humanity is welcome in its gorgeous, complicated wholeness. We are the culture in formation. Every affirmation spoken, every circle widened, every story honored as sacred is an act of creation. We are thinking a new world into being and one awakened consciousness at a time. We must all understand, all of us, the soul of this nation and the soul of this movement is still being written, and we are holding the pen. By turning entirely toward the greater yet to be, we wish to bring into being We are part of the solution. So let's be clear as we can about what we're choosing to write. A world where every child grows up knowing they belong. A world where difference is recognized as life's own creativity. A world where justice and love are understood to be the same impulse expressed through us. That world is real. It exists whenever someone chooses to see the divine in the person in front of them. And our work is to make that choosing more conscious, more deliberate, and more contagious. I believe with all my heart, this moment in our collective history is asking something of us. It asks what we're choosing to hold, fear or faith, exclusion or belonging, amnesia or remembrance. Our response must be conscious choice. We must choose humanity again and again and again and again. We must choose to affirm that every story has sacred value, that every life is worthy of dignity, and that no one is expendable. This does not mean we all agree. It means we all belong. Our organization is powerfully positioned to hold this truth because our teaching insists that there is one life expressing as many lives, and diversity is life's chosen method of expression. Holmes reminds us love points the way and law makes the way possible. Love is our vision, principle is our structure, practice is our responsibility. We need not wait for permission to be compassionate. We need not outsource our conscience to policy. We need not abandon truth for comfort. We can instead choose humanity because it is spirit in action. So today, let us affirm that the soul of the world is still being written through us, that its global echo is shaped by each awakening consciousness, and that spirituality is engagement with life as it is, with eyes wide open and hearts awake. May we be a people who remember, an organization who will continue to widen the circle and make space for all people at the table. A people who refuse to let fear have the final word. Let us be centers for spiritual living in name, in presence, in courage, and in love. Because when we honor the fullness of humanity, we honor the fullness of spirit itself. And after all, humanity's greatest hope has always been and always will be our capacity to see ourselves in each other. Peace and blessings, family.